What's up? Ace here. Um, all right, let's give it a sec. We'll let a few folks get in here. One of the things I want to do is on the lives cut out the very beginning for the folks that come in and check out the recording. If you are checking out the recording, you can use this time to go right down there, click the like button, send a comment, let me know what's going on. Let me know what your plans are for 2023. What are you going to make happen? Are you going to get a deal closed? Are you already working on a deal? You already bought something that you're going to grow. Hopefully, if you have bought something that you're going to grow, you should be growing it through acquisition and not organically, because it's the easiest, quickest path, straight line path to growth. I had a couple people that were asking are in our training program, asking about my Temezcal experience, which I just went on. It was very amazing. So I'd share some of that here. We also had a really great call on talking about valuations last night on the Good Mergers call. So I'll do a call on that. We'll do a video on that coming up. To think when it comes to valuations and how you look at the company that you're making an offer on, 2023 is going to be very, very crucial. There's a lot of things that are changing in the market. I think there was so much money that was just flying around these last 3 years, especially because of COVID. But even before that, things were very, very frothy. And so putting trillions of dollars into the market added to that frothiness. And so there were three different places that impacted our market. The first place was obviously consumers had more money to spend. And so if you bought a business that was based on consumer spending, and it was basically a lot of growth, things were going very well, and you bought that in the last couple of years, you really probably bought it at the top of the market, because consumer spending is not going to be anywhere near what it was these last couple of years for at least the next decade. It's going to be a decade before we see consumer spending like that. I'm drinking a little coffee because it's going to be a long night tonight. We have our very first acquisition holding program of the year getting started for Q1. That group gets started tonight. I'm so excited to speak to y'all. I think we got like 17, 18 members that are just getting started with that. And and then after that, I've got to get a couple things done. Got a couple offers in on some deals today. So that was it's really cool. All right, so let's jump into this Temezcal experience. So a lot of people don't know what Temezcal is. A lot of people think it is mezcal, which I am also a fan of. Mezcal is a tequila that has nothing at all to do with Temezcal. It's a totally different thing. Just happens that the words are very similar. They have nothing to do with each other. And I say that Temezcal is a tequila, but really tequila is a Temezcal. If you're looking for a healthy alcohol to drink, Temezcal is one of the purest. It's one of the best. Just healthy. Healthy is. It's not like it is good for you. Not healthy in that sense, but healthier than the alternative. Temezcal has nothing to do with nothing to do with alcohol or any of that. Not even anything to do with hallucinogenics. So Temezcal, its barest form is just a traditional Mexican sweat lodge. So they've been using that in Mexico for thousands of years. The indigenous people used it, and they use it for physical, emotional, and spiritual healing. So if somebody had some physical illness, and it's really cool, like when you compare to some of the things that the Western people were doing, like bleeding people out to get rid of a physical sickness, like that literally kills you. Like you're getting rid of the good blood that could be helping to fight the disease. But when you compare that to something like a sweat lodge, like sweating it out, where your body is literally getting rid of those impurities, is actually a good thing. And so, to compare some of the Western early healings to this is a lot smarter. But they also use it for emotional healing and spiritual healing. And that you get into there's the physical part of it, which is the literal Temezcal. So you're getting into this sweat lodge. It's this small, dark, it's kind of cave-like because it's built into the ground. It's an enclosed space, and they make it out of stone and clay. And so you get into this thing, you got to crawl into it, and it's heated by these stones. So I go to this location. I thought it was going to be like out in the middle of nowhere. It's actually very close to the city, but the way they built it in is kind of this forest within the city. Like you see a mall from the location, but the way they built it, like you can't really see anything else. And it was very tranquil. It was very silent. It just was a very cool movement. I thought we are gonna have to drive forever to get there, but it was really close by. And so the way that they start the experience is like you're walking barefoot through this foresty area, and then you go to this garden, and you walk through the garden, and you're supposed to touch the plants and that kind of thing. Very earthy experience. And one of the things I love though about indigenous people is that like there was just this high level of respect and connection to the earth, which is like obviously all of us are kind of made out of the same thing as the earth. So it was probably about maybe an hour that we just spent in the garden. They tell you to basically pick out the plants from this garden that are calling your name, and these are the same plants that they're putting into the tea. And so you pick these plants, you pick the plants that you want to pick, and carry back. So after that, you go to the where the actual physical Temezcal is, and you drink cacao. So cacao, again, not really hallucinogenic. The experience might be something that's compared to ayahuasca, of just the whole ritual, but there's nothing like, from what I've heard. I've never done ayahuasca, but from what I've heard, like you're just going to a whole other planet once you drink that stuff. Cacao is very, very chill, and didn't have that kind of effect on me at all. I didn't. I just felt like I was very in touch with myself the whole time. So you go back, you drink that, and there's this very well trained shaman who's taking you through this traditional ceremony. And my friend who told me about this kind of talked about, he was really big on this shaman. So basically, we just got a group of friends that went together, and I thought it sounded like a really cool experience to just like get in tune with myself and start the year. And so my friend who kind of put together this group of folks that did it, he was just talking about this shaman. And I will say, like, when I met this dude, it was like the vibes were just amazing, just like really, really great vibes. I felt really comfortable. It's like, all right, whatever this guy's about to have us do, I know it'll be good. And so, he was well trained. He was kind of this experienced guy that had been doing it. This is something he'd been doing for decades. So the shaman starts this fire, and basically the fire had already been going the whole time we were there. So they had started the fire. It was heating these stones that were on top of it. So these huge stones, and then he starts by blessing the stones, blessing the space. And they start kind of doing some songs and that kind of thing, and they're using these herbs that we've picked from the garden. So once the stones are completely heated, they start placing them in the Temezcal, and then we're going in. So you have to kind of crawl in there, and it's already hot. Like the door, there's an opening that they close, not necessarily a door, but it's already hot in there as you're crawling in. And eventually they get all of the stones placed inside. They close the little door opening, and he starts to first do basically some ceremonial singing. He also had a flute, and his voice was just amazing. So it's putting you into a vibe, and I'm like, just preparing for the heat, because basically the heat and the humidity, they say basically it goes up to average about 140 degrees Fahrenheit. And I mean, it makes for a pretty intense and transformative experience, like meditating in something like that, and as he's guiding you through those meditations. But I've been in saunas, and I prefer the dry sauna, but I've also done the I'm sorry, the steam sauna, where you just like sweating like crazy. But this was definitely the hottest that I've ever been. I've never been in a sauna or a steam sauna that was anywhere near this. So he's put the water on, and it was very intense. And so but one of the things that I liked is that it forces you, like, you can do meditations, and the meditation can, you're kind of going off to these different places, and your brain is just kind of giving this chatter to you. Oh, what about this? And what about that? And you're getting distracted, and before you know it, you're down this long chain of just thoughts, and you realize, like, oh, I got to go back to meditating. The thing about being in 140-degree Fahrenheit steamy room in darkness, you can't see anything, is you're only going from one or two places. Either you're following the shaman and his, that he's guiding you through this meditation, or you're going to, oh my God, this is outrageously hot. Am I going to pass out? Am I going to make it through this thing? And they tell you if you get too hot that you can leave, but you kind of ruin the experience for everybody if you leave. So it's a little bit of social pressure, because as soon as you open the thing, it's gonna, number one, bring light in, which kind of ruins it, and it's gonna bring the cold breeze in, which kind of ruins it for the other people. So you just have this kind of social pressure, just like, oh my goodness. So you're only going back and forth between those, and the meditation is a lot better than thinking about how hot it is. So you're really, it kind of forces you into a true meditation. So, a lot of people that go through this, sometimes just to detoxify the body, because I will tell you, I went in with my shirt, mainly because they didn't really want you to bring a towel. And I'm like, all right, I'll just get in, I'll take my shirt off, and I can at least like just wipe my face if I want to with my shirt. And like my shirt was just like, I took it off, but then it was just like sitting kind of on my lap. And even with that, it was just completely drenched. So it definitely detoxifies the body. But, it's also like used for relieving stress and releasing emotions. And, he gives these kind of questions where he's asking people things. He doesn't ask you specifically, but if you want to kind of answer with whatever's going on with you, if you're having this specific thing. And so that was really cool, because like people, even people I know that I was only experienced with, they open up about things that they've never, I felt like we were pretty close, but I think in this experience, in the darkness, like they opened up just about things that were going on that they wanted to release. That was very, very beautiful. And so I thought that was really cool. But yeah, you're sitting in there, you're hot. And, from their perspective, the idea is that you're kind of opening up these energy channels and releasing blocked emotions and all of that. And, for most, they say that it's supposed to go like 45 minutes to an hour. So, our kind of guy was like, oh, it'll probably be an hour, depending on people and like what the vibe is almost. So we got in hours. I felt like it was longer than an hour, while I was in, I'm like, man, this seems like we're going for a long time. But there were a lot of people that were like sharing and releasing things and all that. So we were in there for 2 hours. But it was really amazing. I still feel just like very refreshed, I think is the best way to put it. I spent time just kind of journaling out like, what do I want this year to look like for me? What are my plans? In every area of life. It's not just like, oh, what are my plans for business? It's, what are my plans personally, spiritually, recreationally? Like, what do I want 2023 to look like? And I feel like that experience gave me a lot of clarity, and just something that I would recommend anybody check out if you're interested in that kind of thing. I will say it's not for everybody. If you're looking for kind of maybe something that's not super intense like ayahuasca or taking a hallucinogenics, I do think it can still be this powerful and transformative experience that all people talk about when they come back from those kinds of retreats. And I want to say trips, but maybe it's not necessarily a trip. But if you do it, just be prepared for some intense heat, some intense humidity, but also like just a very rewarding experience, and just having that opportunity to really get in touch with yourself. All right, let's say hi to some people, and we'll bounce out of here. First of all, this is the one I was laughing at. Melissa, what is up? Happy New Year. Thanks for popping in. This is great. Conducting tomfoolery. I don't know if anybody knows. I know what Riz is, but I don't know if anybody knows what Riz is. That's great. Does Ace has Riz? Oh, man. Jay popped in, says, I definitely want to go. Going to get the details on this retreat. Absolutely. It's definitely worth checking out. That heat. So I think you're saying like, oh, this is great. But man, I see the fire and still right now, I'm just like flashing back to how hot it was in there. It was very, very intense. Andrew popped in. Andrew got an offer on the deal today, which was really awesome. Says spiritual retreats to access private equity gods. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. They were speaking to me, saying you can make it through this. All right, we'll jump into this one. We'll bounce out of here. Hope everybody's having a productive evening. Phil popped in. He asked if consumer businesses are dead. Well, I didn't say dead, so I don't want to. I want to stop right there and just say I did say dead. What are the best types of businesses to buy today and in the future? Is the strength of the dollar offering international opportunities? So to go back to the dead comment. So basically what I'm saying is, it's just a difference between buying something at the top of the market and buying something at the bottom of the market. So it doesn't mean that it's dead, but obviously if you're buying in the bottom of the market, you're gonna have a lot more upside in that business than downside. If you bought it in the last couple of years, you've got a lot more downside. So it doesn't mean that it's going to go out of business. It basically means that you're in a situation where you're probably just at the best that it's ever going to be, and it's going to go down. You know what I mean? Like, it's just, you don't really have room to go up. Like, the government isn't going to give people, thousands of dollars for nothing. Tell them that they don't have to pay for their rent at the same time. Have just all this free time where they can do Uber and these other things. They're not having to go to work. It was just a combination of things where for the consumer, it was the best period. They basically were in a situation where they were spending more money than ever. So what are the other types of businesses? I think there are some really great opportunities when it comes to B2B. I think, right now, a lot of businesses still do have access to capital. Some of the larger businesses are having to cut back. But as we look at small businesses, man, they're still very, very strong. And so I just would stay from the away from the anything that's like direct to consumer, just consumer based. So I love we're doing a lot of deals on businesses where our clients are businesses. And then yes, absolutely. You know, one of the reasons I'm overseas right now and just just spend a lot of time overseas. But I think it's just a combination of things. There's a lot of opportunities internationally, and you're right. The dollar's very strong. It's weakening just a little bit these last few weeks, but I think the trend overall for this year will be that the dollar continues to get stronger. By the way, be sure to like down below. But yeah, the dollar's going to continue to get stronger, so that's going to create some international opportunities. But I also do think that there are some amazing opportunities in the U.S. Just because of the demographics of what's going on. Even with a lot of people talking about buying businesses and that kind of thing, there's just nowhere near enough demand for those businesses to make up for the supply. So I still think there's a lot of opportunities in the U.S. as well. We'll do this last one because I love the Riz comment from from tomfoolery. Conducting tomfoolery says, "Are you personally pivoting to staple commodities and bonds?" So when it comes to my liquid investments, I still think that when it comes to investments, small businesses, there's just nothing that compares because of the deal structure that you can use, because of the impact that you can have on that investment, and because of the leverage that is still available. So that's one of the really high upsides to where we are as business buyers, is that SBA is still a thing. We've got some really cool programs. If you're interested in any of that, reach out to Financier Bank. But yeah, there's just a lot of cool things that are happening still in the small business space. But in my liquid investments, I'm still just a fan of a very simple strategy that I use and have for a while. It's basically, I think the thing it's called is options wheel. But I just really like selling puts, selling options for income, because I think even with my liquid investments, I like to get income. And then right now, I think the T bills, like if anything is just sitting, if you've got money just sitting, and you don't want to get like a more aggressive strategy, like get generating income from options. And actually, I am going to do for the Patreoners, what's up? I'm going to do a video on my option strategy, which has been great. And the other thing is the amount of taxes. Like, it's great to make money when you compare this to tax liability of doing these small business deals where you have all of these write-offs, everything that you can do, and you're getting this income. It's just so magical compared to when you're investing in the stock market. You're investing in the stock market. Ain't nothing you can really do when you're making money. They're coming after it, and it's just an automatic thing. So you don't have a lot of places to play with that. But yeah, so for the Patreon, I do want to let y'all know I've got a training coming up on my kind of corporate option strategy. So if you've got a holding company, one of the things you can do to improve income is take some of your cash and generate income off of that cash by selling puts against the cash. Then when you get the stock, selling calls against the stock to increase your income. So I'm going to chat more on that. Like the video, subscribe if you're not a subscriber. Make some magic happen. There's too many opportunities out there. Thank y'all for popping in, and I will talk to you soon.